Hey everybody, I'm the guy you came to see. What I thought I would do is, just give you a little briefing, because I know most comedians, they can talk about cancer and stuff like that, but as you'll see when I get on stage, I don't give a good first impression. Not super ugly, but you'd probably describe my face as abrasive.
This voice has the same intensity and tone quality as the sound on the film which follows.
Like, I wouldn't kiss it, but I'd use it to sand down my windowsill. A real home improvement face. One of the million reasons why I've never been on TV. Like, I'm not good looking enough for TV, yet I'm not ugly enough for you to feel sorry for me. You're like, that guy could still bang an 8. And I have. I'll tell you about after the show. Also, before we start, I thought I'd just let you know, just because this show's about cancer and stuff, doesn't mean you're going to learn anything. If you want to get better at life, do not see a comedy show with Nick Capper in it. You should see a life coach. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do a red hot joke. I'm going to start the show, do a red hot joke, then we're going to get into the heavy shit. Are you guys cool with that? Yeah! Alright, let's start the show! Is everyone here familiar with the film screen actor Tom Hanks? Get this right. In 1996, Tom Hanks had a film called You've Got Mail. 4 years later, he does a film called Castaway, where he delivers a parcel. 17 years later, he does a film called The Post. Am I the only one seeing this? What's Tom Hanks' obsession with the mail? What's his next film gonna be? I want to have sex with the mail. Anyway, before I got cancer, I thought about suicide quite a lot. No, I didn't think about it all the time. It was like when you see tiramisu on the dessert menu. Like, oh, it's a good option. Don't know if I'll follow through. It's a bad sleep for everybody. I don't know if that's a good metaphor. No, I wasn't suicidal, but I was quite sad. It was about 2 years ago. I was age 39, and I don't know. I guess I'd realised at age 39 I'd never been promoted in my whole life. Like, I'd only worked entry-level jobs, picking up boxes, labour, stuff like that, my whole life. And I also was doing comedy a lot, but still, I don't know. I was good at one stage, but then I stopped progressing, and I kind of became stagnant. I started to hate comedy. That hasn't changed. So this kind of, I guess, you know, my parents and my partner, they were cool with it, but they're like, hey, Nick, how about you level up? You know, let's just make it so we're not worried about you. We love what you're doing, but just, hey, let's just stop. We're just worried, you know? But another reason why I was a bit depressed was because I was in, like, due to COVID-19, I was in one of the world's biggest lockdowns, right, which we all went through. I don't know. The only thing that helped me out was going mountain biking. Because when you're a 39-year-old straight white male and you're sad, you come to a four-pronged fork in the road. You either commit suicide, you have an affair, take up golf, or you go mountain biking, right? And I'm pretty sure the last two are only there to take your mind off the first two. Because really, you just want to do them all. Give it to me. I want to do them all. Hey. No, I'd never do golf. Do I look like a boring dumb fuck to you, huh? So I was riding my mountain bike, and when I was riding it, I noticed a bit of a sensitivity in my my left testicle, right? And I thought, oh, whoa, I haven't noticed this before, but I was on the dole. You play with your balls a lot more. I would have noticed if there was a hair out of place, to be honest. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go see a doctor about this. And my partner nearly fell over. She's like, whoa, 39 years on this earth, and you are finally voluntarily going to see a doctor. And I said, yeah, babe, I'm going to be a man about this. But really, I just wanted to see another face. Like, it was just something to do, right? Went to the doctors. The doctor said, Nick, we found a lesion on one of your testicles. And I'm like, whew. Oh, I thought you were going to tell me I got cancer. And he's like, you've got cancer. It was like buying a ticket to George of the Jungle and then found out you actually bought a ticket to George of the Jungle 2. And then when you get to the cinema, the usher goes, you've got cancer. I don't know if that's a good metaphor either. A lot of things come into your head when you get told you got cancer. I know this sounds ridiculous, but it's very unexpected. Other things that happen in your life that are bad, you can kind of see them coming. Like if you have a car crash or a fight with your partner, you're like, oh yeah, that was kind of on the horizon. But cancer, it totally surprises you. It's like when I was learning Spanish and I learnt the word for left is izquierda. Did not see that coming. Like right is derecha, you know, and straight is derecho. Izquierda. Que pasa? You know? It's like the unwanted child of the Spanish direction family, you know. Yeah, so that and cancer really startled me. But the doctor said, look, Nick, you got testicular cancer, right? That's the best of a bad bunch. He's like, out of Destiny's Child, you got Beyonce. You should see people when I tell them they got Kelly. It's definitely terminal. Oh, we got a couple of Kelly Rowlands fans in, do we? Nah, I like Dilemma as well. Only because I'm a Nelly fan, but The doctor said, don't worry, Nick. All we got to do right now is we just got to take one of your testicles out, right? Then we can determine how much cancer you've got. But it's all good. The testicle we take out, we can replace it with a fake rubber one. Just to make things look a bit better. And I said to the doctor, oh, you've seen testicles, I've seen testicles. They're not going to look any better. You're like, oh, look at this disgusting dog shit on the ground. Oh, hey, let's put another one next to it. Oh, yeah. That looks better, right? He said, no, it can just make things look a bit more even, you know, for your partner. I said, I don't know if my partner's that fond of symmetry. Also, have you seen a ball sack? It never looks even. You could have 4 balls in there, and you're like, is there 1 or 3? I don't know. The ladies are loving that one, eh? It's about time someone talked about the unevenness of ball sacks. Finally, a king to lead us. And the doctor said, no, it can be scary if your partner goes down there and finds out you've got 1 testicle. I said, if there's anything more harrowing than my partner finding out I've got 1 testicle, it's her finding out one of them's a rubber ball. That later on turns her pelvic floor into the rear wall of a squash court. I don't usually do that one, but I thought, hey, we got the camera rolling. Let's go to Hollywood, baby. I was like, why would you take the bad one out and replace it with a useless one? You know, that's like firing a problematic employee, and in their office, you just replace them with a rubber ball. You're like, you go, hey, how's the new guy going? You go, I don't know, bounce around some ideas. I was like, I've got the spare space down there. Why don't you put something useful? Like a first aid kit. Or my travel card. Meep, meep. All right, officer, I'll get off. In Perth, they call it the Smart Rider. Makes you think. Fuck. I was like, don't do that bit in the taping. And I did. But they said, Nick, before we take your testicle out, what you should do is you should get your sperm frozen, just in case anything goes wrong. And to do that, I had to go to a sperm clinic. Now, going to a sperm clinic is very, very scary. Okay, because let me put it this way, right? I know probably all you guys have masturbated, right? Especially glasses here and old mustache, you know. And you guys definitely know that I've masturbated, right? None of you know me, but somehow you know that. You're like old abrasive face, I don't know, shit t-shirt, collared shirt, has been through some lonely times. And you're correct. And you know I'm going to do it again. And I know that you're going to do it again. But the thing that comforts us all is we don't know when and where. Like, I don't know when you're going to do it again. You don't know when he's going to do it again. He doesn't know when she's going to do it again. I don't know when you're going to do it again, home viewer. You're probably doing it now. She doesn't know when she's going to do it again. She doesn't know when he's going to do it again. He doesn't know when I'm going to do it again. But the dude at the sperm clinic, he knows. Right? He's like, after you fill out that form, you're going to make the worst face ever behind that door. And we all know that. What made it even more terrifying was it was during the COVID lockdowns and we couldn't find a sperm clinic that was open. And my partner and I had this conversation verbatim. She rang me. I'm not making this up. She rang me and said, Nick, I got good news and bad news. The good news is we've found a sperm clinic that's open. The bad news is it's at the Children's Hospital. Are you comfortable with masturbating at the children's hospital? I said, look, usually I wouldn't be comfortable, and thank you for asking. But as a 39-year-old man, it's probably the only place I haven't jerked off, to be honest. Like, that's one of the last on the list. Like after Children's Hospital, there's only two left. And that's the morgue and Movie World. I did SeaWorld and Dreamworld, got the super pass. It was a great day. Before we went in, right, we pulled up, and it wasn't at the Children's Hospital at all. It was at the Women's Hospital. I'm like, fuck, this is going to be a whole lot easier. I might even rub one out in reception. But before I went in, my partner said, hey, Nick, how would you like a sexy photo of me to get you going? A sexy photo. And I said, oh, babe, I've been in lockdown with you for 2 years. I just want to see a photo of you not in track pants or on the toilet. And I will blow the back out of that sample glass. They're going to have to double cup it like a hot latte. Anyway, I went in there and I was like, I wonder what kind of pornographic material they're going to have to get me going. They had no pornographic material at all. They just had 2 charcoal drawings of nude women and then a painting of an old French port town. And I'm like, oh, lucky I haven't travelled in a while. Like, imagine going to a country you don't know language. Imagine using your passport. And they're like, oh, close the door. You haven't even put the gown on yet. So yeah, after that, they took my testicle. They removed it. For those that don't know, it's very painful, right? It's quite painful because they don't cut you at the sack, they cut you at the stomach. So they don't go via the bridge, they go via the harbour tunnel. And getting your testicle removed is extremely painful. Like, Hitler only had one testicle. I'm not going to defend his actions. However, I know why he was angry. After 3 weeks in bed, I was like, I'll invade Poland. I'll kill all the races. No, I was like that before it. Regional background, vote National. I'll talk to you about it after the show. But something that helped me was, has anyone here had endone? Yeah. Anyone here around age 39 that has had endone? Yeah. I don't want to be rude, but how old are you, sorry? You're 40. You get endone.
So good.
You get it. It's so good, because when you're younger, you want drugs where you're like, oh, I want to hallucinate, I want to see sharks fly, or I want to snort this and talk about Bitcoin for the next 4 hours. But when you get to 39 and all your dreams have been crushed, you're like, just knock me out, right? I just want to feel numb. Make tomorrow come quicker. I've been backpacking, I've done anal, both overrated. Now let me just wake up with missing time. Is that your experience? Not quite, okay. A prude at a Nick Capper show. Who would have thought, huh? Can you say prude anymore? I don't know, fuck, I'm 40. But I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know where my testicle is now. Like, I don't. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't keep me up at night. But for 39 years, I knew. Like, it could be anywhere. Like, most likely it's in a lab or a bin. Or maybe someone's painted a face on it and called it Wilson. Or maybe it's on a gondola in Italy. And it's got little arms and it's paddling through the water. And it's eating from a charcuterie board and it's going, wee wee. That's French, but who cares? It's Europe. Or maybe it's on a beach in the Philippines next to some old tyres. Because I don't know if you guys knew this, but when you trade in your second-hand tyres, what a lot of the tyre shops do is they send them away to countries like the Philippines and they put them on these islands. And then those tyres fill up with water and then that attracts mosquitoes and then the surrounding towns and villages get dengue fever. So yeah, maybe my testicle's there. You thought this show was about cancer awareness, huh? But really, it's about waste management. Think about that before you do a burnout next time, you fuck! So they analysed my testicle and they said, congratulations, Nick. You have no cancer left in your body. You're fine. And it was so great because I got it early and it was just something to do, I managed to beat it. And I didn't even have to do I just had to be in bed for 3 weeks. I didn't have to do chemotherapy. I didn't die. I didn't have to be in hospital for years on end. I'd avoided the whole nightmare of cancer because I got it early. And one of my only attributes as a person is that I never want to make a fuss. I'm never really in a bad mood. I never want to annoy people, whatever. So I just didn't tell anybody. I only told close family and friends. That's it. And they said, Nick, you're a survivor. And I was like, no, I do not feel like a survivor. I feel like an imposter. Like, didn't even feel like I had cancer. It just felt like getting a big tooth taken out, a big tooth full of semen. A good friend of mine that you might have seen earlier, a good friend of mine who I do a podcast with, Mike Goldstein, he said, Nick, you wouldn't believe it, but I've been approached by a suit company, Politics Suits, and they said if I post a photo of me in one of their suits talking about men's health, they will give me a free suit. And I told him that I had a friend that was going through a men's health issue. And look, I know you don't want to tell anybody. And before he could even finish, I was like, brother, give me that fucking free suit. Yeah, I got that suit, right? Yeah, it looks good, huh? It's Politics Suits. The reason I rolled over so quickly is because I thought Politics Suits were like high-class suits. But as I found out, they're only one level up from Tarot Cash. Like, these are the suits you wear when you want to finger people at the races. I wanted the Porsche and I got the MX-5, right? it is a nice suit. I really do like it. And I posted a photo of me in the suit talking about men's health. Oh shit, is it the collar? Yeah. Oh fuck. I did that in another recording, just had the collar up the whole time. And the recording was beautiful. The crowd were way better than you guys. No. They were all right. They were from Newcastle a bit. What was I talking about? Politics suits. Oh, yeah. So I posted the photo of me in the suit with the message that I told you earlier. Get it early. And that's what I'm saying to you guys today. Get your breasts checked, get your testicles checked, get it all checked early. And then you will escape the nightmare of cancer, like what I did. And the response was amazing. People were writing to me going, hey, mate, I'm going to go check now, everything like that. And my partner said, look, it's creating great awareness. She's like, maybe you should do stand-up about it. I was like, I would never do stand-up about having cancer. Like I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I would never use it as a crutch. I would never put it on a poster and sell out a show at 5 o'clock on Saturday in the afternoon. I would never do any of those greedy things. She said, no, you should do it. So I went to an open mic. I sat in the car, took about 10 deep breaths, looked over my notes, and then I went and did a lot of the bits that you guys saw earlier about getting my testicles cut out. And it went great. It went really good. And I started enjoying comedy again. And people started booking me for a lot more gigs. And things started going really well. And a friend of mine, Ben Knight, said, hey, Nick, would you like to do a show with me at Adelaide Fringe? And I said, look, man, I just nearly died. I don't know if I'm ready to lose money yet. But we went there, and I reckon we were the first guys ever to make money at a Fringe festival. All the shows sold really well. It went great. Things were going so good that my testicles started growing back. I'm not kidding. It was growing back, and I rang the doctor, and I said, hey, mate, I've got some stomach pains and my testicle is growing back. And he said, the stomach pains, that's scar tissue. You had quite a hefty operation. And I said, what about the testicle? And then I could just hear him Googling it over the phone. I'm like, don't bother, brother. I already did that 10 times. I even asked Jeeves. Wonder what Alta Vista says about this. But he said, look, don't worry about it, it's fine. When you get back from Adelaide, we'll have a look at it, right? So I was in Adelaide and I was at a variety show. And there was a comedian there, his name's Ethan. He was a good comedian, he's only a couple of months in. And he did a set and he got off stage and he was wearing this beautiful suit. And I went up to him and I said, hey, mate, that is a really nice suit. Where'd you get it from? And he goes, oh, you wouldn't believe it. I got it for free from Politics Suits. And I'm like, oh, man, did you get testicular cancer? And he goes, no, I just wrote him a nice email. I said, I'm a new comedian, just starting up. I was wondering if you guys could send me a free suit. And they did, Nick. How did you get yours? And I'm like, I gave my fucking left nut for this suit, right? They took Izquierda. Adios, amigo. Mi favorita. I get back from Adelaide and the phone keeps ringing. With opportunities. And this time it was a big one, quite a big one. Doesn't sound that big, but it was to direct a clothing ad and also be in the clothing ad for like a skateboard brand. And they said, oh, Nick, we're going to fly you to Sydney and we're going to shoot the ad. You're going to help write it, direct it, be in it. Total creative control. And they were paying me a fair bit of money. So I was like, hell yeah. I said, before I go to Sydney, I'll just go to the doctors, on the Friday. Went into the doctors on the Friday, said, Nick, your blood level is 12 times as high as what it was. And I'm like, phew. Oh, that's good. I thought you were going to tell me I got cancer again. And he's like, you've got cancer again. This time, it's 12 times as bad. He said, all of that pains in the stomach, that's all cancer. He said that testicle you thought you were growing back, that's also cancer. It's really bad, Nick. We don't have any more information till we get some scans back on Monday. Have a good weekend. So as I said before, I'm quite resilient, never make a fuss, but I walked out of there and for some reason my parents called me about a minute later. And the moment they said, how you going? I broke down. I started crying right in the middle of the street, just crying like the cancer's back. It's 12 times as bad. I don't know what I'm going to do. Please don't tell anybody till we know more on Monday. And then I had to fly to Sydney, do my dream job, writing comedy, acting in comedy, hanging out with these skateboarders, drinking beers. But every half an hour, I just had to go to a private space, somewhere private, like a toilet cubicle or something like that, and just rebuild that wall of resilience and paint a smile on my face and head back out there. Because I didn't know what lied ahead. Like, I thought maybe I'm going to die, or maybe they're going to remove some of my limbs or my organs or something. Either way, I knew it was going to be a bad thing that might change the rest of my life. And it was the worst weekend ever. The whole weekend was just a pit of uncertainty. And I got into the doctors on Monday, and the doctor said, Nick, you're going to have to start doing chemotherapy. So now the nightmare was real. He said, but don't worry, Nick. We've got a 96% chance of curing you. I said, oh, great. I'm looking at one of the greatest medical minds in Australia, and the prick still doesn't know how to round up. Because I'm not thinking of the 96. I'm thinking of the 4. That's what I'm thinking of. You can still do a lot of damage with 4%. You can still have 4% fuel in your car and run over a kid. You can run over a few, actually. Anyway, it's just a fantasy. There is some Make-A-Wish that they do not honour. So then I had to start chemotherapy. And I had to go to the hospital around 4 times a week, sometimes around 2 to 5 hours a day. And I was coping pretty well with it. I was doing okay. I was still able to do gigs. I did feel a little bit sick, but I was fine. And a good friend of mine, great comedian, Brett Blake, rang me. My towel boy from earlier. Things are really coming up for him. I was waiting for that expletive. Brett rang me and he said, Nick, we're going to do a fundraiser for you. All the comedians we got together, because you're going to lose all of this work, we're going to put on a fundraiser for you. And I said, absolutely not. I don't want any money. I don't want to make a fuss. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I'd rather jerk off in a children's hospital. Which is quite thrilling. But he said, no, you're coming. So 3 weeks later, I went to my own cancer fundraiser. And I caught the tram there. Meep, meep. And, I got I got into the venue at my own cancer fundraiser begrudgingly, and it was amazing. 300 people there, right? And it was the best night of my life. Because I got to see something a lot of you don't get to see, and that is your own funeral. Like, but it was bizarre for the audience that were there, because I'd been doing chemotherapy for 3 weeks. So I had no processed foods. I was drinking 5 litres of water a day, no drugs or alcohol, and I still had all of my hair. So into my own cancer fundraiser, looking the best I've ever looked. They're like, oh, who did we buy this wheelchair for? Oh, Usain Bolt. Cool. But it was an incredibly bizarre experience, because here I am on death's door going through the worst time of my life, and my parents had flown down from Queensland, and I look across the audience, see them, lock eyes with them, then they look at all this community that's come out to support me, and they were like, we don't have to worry about you anymore. We don't have to worry. If you've got all of these people here helping you, you're doing okay by us. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful that my dad even hugged me. He's not a bad dad at all, he's just a farmer. Right? Like the last time I saw him hug something was a cement mixer in 1992. We all hugged that cement mixer. It was a beautiful machine. And I thought, wow, I'm at the best night of my life. I'm still feeling good. Maybe I've escaped the cancer nightmare again. This rules. Then about 3 days later, things took a bit of a izquierda turno. My hair started to fall out quite rapidly. I don't want to bring the mood down, but when you've got cancer and you're bald, every time you look in the mirror, it reminds you that you've got cancer. When you're bald and you don't have cancer, it reminds you that you're a security guard. Or you own Amazon. Either way, you're beating up the poor. Also, I didn't know about this, about being bald, is it's like an unspoken brotherhood. Amen. Yeah. Like, it's an unspoken brotherhood, you know? Like, this bald guy came up to me and he goes, hey, man, sucks being bald, huh? And I'm like, oh, no, man, I've only got cancer. You're bald forever, you know. At least I got a fundraiser, you know. But he was pretty funny, like most bald guys are pretty funny. And he goes, yeah, but there's a chance that you could die. And I'm like, oh, toupee. I mean, touche. Also, do you know why you look good, bald man? It's because your head is shiny, right? My head did not go shiny. Somehow I ended up with a matte finish. My head looked like a Toyota Supra from Werribee. Along with going bald, also I started to feel quite sick, like really sick. I'm not going to bore you about how sick you feel at chemotherapy. Everyone handles it differently, but it was like I had a hangover all the time with 10 times the anxiety. And too tired to sleep, too tired to read a book, too tired to watch TV, too tired to do anything. It's terrible, okay? Another thing that made it really bad was that they inject you with this radioactive stuff. So I couldn't, like, share food with my partner, or touch her, or be intimate with her, or anyone else. Which made it doubly challenging. And then, if that wasn't enough, COVID-19 struck up again, and then the doctor said, Nick, you cannot go anywhere besides your room and the hospital. That's it. You can't go anywhere, okay? It was so isolating. It was kind of like I was cast away. Out in the middle of the ocean. A lot like the Tom Hanks film. Sully. Or Captain Phillips, you know. He's done a lot of ocean ones, hasn't he? What's his next film going to be? The Wet Envelope? I thought that one's going in the taping. Now, guys, we're about 2/3 into the show, right? We're getting towards the ending bit. And you guys are thinking right now, Nick, it was so funny that first bit when you talked about getting your testicle removed. So many funny, hilarious quips about having cancer. We cannot wait, Nick, for your hilarious tales of what you went through in chemotherapy. Tell us about all the wacky stuff that happened to you in chemo. Yeah. Well, get this right. One day I go into chemo and I get in my bed. In the bed next to me, there is a guy who's an air traffic controller. Who's ever met one of them? Hold your applause. It gets funnier, right? His wife, also an air traffic controller. They met at a party. What are the odds? That was the funniest thing that happened to me in 4 months of chemotherapy. People were asking where I was and such, and so I uploaded a photo of me bald on Instagram saying, hey guys, sorry if I cancel all my gigs, I've got cancer. If you ever want more likes than having a baby, get cancer, right? And the funniest thing is, it's kind of like having a baby, that the government helps you kill. Uploaded this photo and it went viral. It went crazy. Everyone's sharing it. It's going nuts, okay? It went so viral that companies were reaching out to me to be an influencer. This company wrote to me and said, Nick, how would you like to promote our product on your Instagram? I said, great, what's your product? And they said, our product is dissolvable shorts. I'm not making this up. And I said, are these shorts that dissolve? And they said, correct. Cancer was worth this email exchange alone. And I said, what's the deal? And they said, Nick, if you promote our product on your Instagram, you will get a free pair of dissolvable shorts. And I'm like, oh, just so we're clear, I promote your product on my Instagram, then I get a pair of shorts temporarily. And they said, that is correct. And then I asked the question that you all want to know right now. Why are you selling dissolvable shorts? Who buys dissolvable shorts? They said, Nick, the shorts dissolve in water. It's a funny prank. I thought you would have figured this out being a comedian. We thought you were a funny guy. And here I am, thinking I'm a half-decent comedian. I can't even spot a good prank. I felt so shit. Because it is a great prank. It's such a good prank when you think about it, right? It's such a good prank because it's so easy to do to somebody. It's so streamlined. All you have to do is rock up to your friend's place and then out of nothing go, "Hey man, I bought you a pair of shorts." And he goes, "Oh, nothing awry here. I love getting a pair of shorts from my mates. I will put it in a stack of shorts that I receive from friends on the reg. Plain blue as well, so original. I can see why you bought them. That's the only colour they come in. I checked the website." And you go, "Hey man, how about you put them on now?" And he goes, "Oh, nothing suspicious about that. Just a regular day for me, of course." Then he puts them on and you go, "All right, how about you go for a swim and or shower while I watch?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, this is just a normal friendship, of course." And then he does one of those. And he goes, "Oh, you wouldn't believe it. The unthinkable has happened. This beautiful gift you've bought me, something that happens to me every day, but this particular pair of shorts have dissolved." Then you go, "Ha ha ha ha! It's a prank! It's a prank!" And they're like, "Oh, now this is funny. It's so funny because I'm nude." "Where did you find out about such a hilarious prank?" And you go, "Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I saw this comedian with cancer's Instagram page. I saw his sunken eyes and bald head. And I thought, that guy knows a good prank." But the treatment started working very rapidly. Chemotherapy, it's very hard on your body, but it does work very well. And the people at St Vincent's Hospital in Melbourne really, really helped me. And they made a bad place that should have, not a bad place, but they made a place that should have been bad feel like a home. And it was very nice. And then after 4 months, I finished chemotherapy and I haven't been back. They keep asking me to come back. I'm like, "No way, Stinktown. That place sucks." And I finished the chemotherapy and I thought, "Nick, you've beaten death. Time to tick off the old bucket list. Time to experience the world that might have been taken away from you." So I went on a family holiday to Noosa. Yeah, it was just me, Mum and Dad, my brother and sister, and the cement mixer. And on the holiday, the phone rings, and it's my manager. And I'm like, here we go. This gravy train is kicking off again. And he said, "Nick, I've got some work for you." I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this. Huh? Cancer, when I had it the first time, that brought so much. The second time, it's going to be even more. He said, "Nick, I've got a gig for you in Cairns where you're going to be hosting a fundraiser. It's going to pay $5,000. Are you cool with that?" And I said, hell yeah. And he goes, "Look, I've also got another gig for you. It's on the Gold Coast. Someone pulled out and you can do a 40-minute spot on the Gold Coast in 4 days. Do you think you can do that? I was like, yeah. And he goes, have you written any new material? I said, yeah, I got this great new bit about air traffic controllers. That and the Tom Hanks bit should fill up 40 alone. So I sat down and I started to write some comedy about chemotherapy, right? And I'm just going to give you guys a little peek behind the curtain because, as you can see, stand-up is quite difficult, okay? Because you're just a stupid clown. Ronald McDonald's a clown, and 98% of kids under 12 recognise who Ronald McDonald is. I've been doing comedy for 15 years, and hardly any kids under 12 recognise who I am. And when they do recognise me, their parents are real angry. Like, where do you know that guy from? He's got an abrasive face. And why is he driving towards us? Anyway, it's just a fantasy. So I sat down at my father-in-law's place on the Gold Coast and I tried to write some stand-up. And I'm going to share with you guys a note from my notes, from my notebook. I know it looks like the Unabomber's manifesto. But someone left the ice cube tray out to dry. Looks like we found a real monster in the family. Tingling in hands and feet are starting to go away from the chemo. Started drinking alcohol again. Got to remember to only drink when I feel like it. Fuck all of this shit is boring. So fucking boring. I've lost all creativity. Cancer was the only way out of this shitty career path. I've got 3 days to write 40 minutes of comedy. I'm fucked. Absolutely fucked. I'm a dead man. Who cares about the comedic viewpoints of cancer anyway? I've lost all creativity. Why do we have different sized bowls? Why don't we just eat from one big bowl? You can still put a small amount of food in a large bowl. So as you can tell, the show went really good. Blew the roof off the Gold Coast, never been back. I get back from the Gold Coast and wait for the phone to ring, and my manager calls me again, and I'm like, hell yeah. And he goes, Nick, the Cairns gig has been cancelled. They didn't sell enough tickets. I'll let you know if there's any more work. And not really much work came along. So I just had to go back working in labour hire, like entry-level jobs, picking up boxes. Only I kind of liked it this time. It was better than being in bed sick. And I was on this app where you get to go to a different workplace every day, whenever they need you. It was kind of like the instability of working in the arts, but also the stability of working in labour. So it was a great thing. Anyway, I loved it because I got to meet new people every day. It was so good. But after a few months, it started to tire a bit because I'd rock up, because none of the jobs relied on any skills. I would rock up to a job, and there would just be me and 40 backpackers. And because I was the only guy over 18 and the only one from Australia, they all thought I was the boss. They're like, hey, Nick, what do we do now? I'm like, I don't know, Sergio. I'm at the same level as you. Hey, Nick, why you work here? You're so old.
Does your father own the company? Are you volunteering? I'm like, no. You know what you're doing, Sergio? Getting drunk, partying, trying to figure your life out, trying to figure a career path in this cruel world, not knowing who you are, taking a gap year. I've done that 20 times. I'm on my 20th gap year, Sergio. I was like, Nick, why are you wearing no pants? I'm like, I was trying out my new shorts and it rained. They really work. So once again, I was taking life for granted. I was like, you're back to square one again, Nick. Until I went to a job, and I'll leave on this, folks. Thank you guys so much for coming out. You guys have been awesome. Give it up for Basement Comedy Club. Also, Brett Blake for helping me out. And Brian, Mikey, Hook, Timmy, thank you so much. But yeah, I was taking life for granted until I rocked up to this labour hire job one day. And there was a guy there wearing the labour hire uniform from my company. And he looked over 40. He looked around 45. And I went up to him and I said, hey mate, how you going? My name's Nick. And he said, hi, my name's Ian. In an Australian accent. And I'm like, oh yeah, another loser like me. This is awesome. I said, Ian, what are we doing today? Now, this is what he said. Now, guys, I'm not going to be disparaging towards anyone in this story, okay? But it really did happen. It's true, okay? But I said, Ian, where are we working today? And he said, Nick, we are working at a place called House with No Steps. Now, for those who don't know what House with No Steps is, it's a place where people with Down syndrome can go and work. And at this House with No Steps, they were rolling up movie posters and they were putting them in a tube. And they had fallen behind, so they got Ian and I in to help catch up. Now, this was a hard pill for me to swallow. I was a real dick about this. Because I thought at age 39, if I worked at House with No Steps, I would be in a supervisory role. I thought I'd be saying, hey, don't do that. Not, hey, how do you do that? So I was a dick about it, okay? But I went in there and I had the best time ever. Everyone was happy to work there. We're rolling up the movie posters, we're putting them in the tubes, we're having great chats, we're talking about the important stuff, waste management in the Philippines. It's so good. And there's a bit of a lull in conversation. And then Ian says this. He goes, Nick, do you do anything else besides work in labour hire? And then usually I don't tell anybody, but my guard was down, I was having a great time. I was like, yes, as a matter of fact, I am a stand-up comedian. And this is what Ian did. He goes, well, you can't be much of a comedian if you work here. Everyone in the whole place fucking loses it. And I don't know if you've seen people with Down syndrome laugh, but they really get into it. They were like, you suck. You must be the worst comedian ever if you work here. And I didn't know what to do. I'd just been destroyed. But there's another lull in conversation. And I said to Ian, do you do anything else besides labour hire? And this is what he said. He said, yeah, I'm a life coach. Not one person laughed. It was the saddest thing I'd ever heard. And I'd just done 4 months of chemotherapy. You guys must be thinking, that's a pretty shitty life coach, you know, if he works in labour hire. But he was the best life coach ever. And the first and last life coach I've ever seen. Because I'm like, Nick, you're still struggling at stand-up, you're still working at entry-level jobs, but it could be worse. You could work in labour hire and be a life coach. Now, I know this story doesn't really have a happy ending. You guys want the happy ending, the Tom Hanks ending. Like, you know, he gets off the island, or he's reunited with his wife, or he solved the Da Vinci Code. I haven't seen it. But my story ends better. My story has an ending that's better than a happy ending. And that is that it doesn't end, it gets to keep going. And that's thanks to you guys coming out. And as I heard in a film once, life is like a box of chocolates. You get them in the mail.
Thank you so much for coming out and supporting Mike Goldstein and Nick Payne.